Dear friends and colleagues, this episode of NALAR is rather special. As you can see, it is in English. This is actually to respond to the request of some friends who live abroad who would want to know more about the transition of the government in Indonesia that is currently taking place. A shorter version of this episode was presented in the Indonesia Outlook Symposium at ISIS Yusuf Ishak Institute on 19 September 2024. By the time this episode is aired, some aspects may have been outdated. However, my hope is that the main message remains, that we need to pay close attention to this transition, as it is crucial to the development directive of this country. Now, let us start. Friends and colleagues, as Indonesia prepares or now already passed through for a significant leadership transition, the election of Prabowo Subianto as president signals both continuity and change. Having previously served as defense minister under President Jokowi, Prabowo's political ascent has been marked by a pragmatic alliance with Jokowi, which suggests that aspects of Jokowi's policies will continue, albeit with adjustment to fit Prabowo's own agenda. Now, with Prabowo at the helm, Indonesia's governance, state reforms, and development trajectory will likely be shaped by his vision for a self-sufficient, strong state built around the themes of national defense, economic resilience, and inclusive development. I'm trying to explore the potential governance model under Prabowo's administration, the reforms he may introduce, and how he plans to build upon or diverge from Jokowi's legacy. Central to this analysis is Prabowo's Astacita, or 8 visions, his 17 key priorities, and the immediate actions or quick wins he has promised to implement within the early years of his presidency. Friends and colleagues, Astacita outlines Prabowo's overarching goals for Indonesia's future. They reflect a commitment to national sovereignty, economic self-sufficiency, and social justice, which align with Prabowo's long-standing emphasis on defense and economic independence. The 8 visions include upholding Pancasila, state ideology, democracy, and human rights, strengthening national defense and self-sufficiency in critical sectors such as food, energy, and water, promoting equality, jobs, entrepreneurship, and industrialization, fostering human capital development through education, science, and gender equality, strengthening downstream industry and re-industrialization, encouraging village development, and reducing poverty and economic inequality, reforming politics, law, and bureaucracy while tackling corruption and drug abuse, and ensuring harmony with nature, religious tolerance, and social justice. At the core of this vision is Prabowo's belief that a strong state must not only be capable of defending itself militarily, but also be self-reliant in key sectors such as agriculture, energy, and infrastructure. Prabowo's vision aligns with his defense background, where economic strength is seen as integral to national security. His focus on food sovereignty and self-sufficiency in basic needs reflects his deep concern for Indonesia's resilience against global economic uncertainties. The 17 priorities listed in Prabowo's vision reflect the areas where his government intends to focus its effort. They suggest that Prabowo is keen to tackle some of Indonesia's most enduring challenges, such as poverty, corruption, and bureaucratic inefficiency. His quick wins, which include initiatives such as providing free school lunches, improving healthcare services, and increasing civil servant salaries, demonstrate his awareness of the need for immediate action that can show results quite early in his presidency. For example, by providing free lunches and milk at schools, Prabowo aims to address childhood malnutrition, which remains a significant issue in rural Indonesia. Additionally, creating food banks and promoting agriculture productivity at the subnational level indicate his desire to boost national development and reduce Indonesia's reliance on food imports. The emphasis on building and renovating schools and providing affordable housing aligns with his vision of village development and social welfare. However, these quick wins must be viewed within the context of deeper structural reforms. While short-term initiatives are crucial for building public confidence, the real test of Prabowo's administration will be its ability to reform Indonesia's political and bureaucratic system. Prabowo has emphasized corruption eradication and reforms to the legal system, both of which are vital if Indonesia is to overcome the inefficiencies that have plagued its governance for years. Prabowo's economic agenda, as outlined in the 17 priorities and quick wins, places a significant emphasis on self-sufficiency, industrialization, and the promotion of micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs. These policies aim to diversify Indonesia's economy and reduce reliance on imports, particularly in critical sectors such as food and energy. However, achieving self-sufficiency will require substantial investment in infrastructure, technology, and human capital, as well as addressing long-standing structural issues such as inefficiency and corruption within the bureaucracy. One of the key challenges for Prabowo will be ensuring that economic growth is inclusive. While infrastructure development and industrialization, including downstream industry, can drive economic progress, there is of course a risk that these policies could exacerbate existing inequalities, particularly between urban and rural areas. Prabowo's commitment to village development and poverty reduction will need to be matched by concrete actions that ensure that economic opportunities are extended to all Indonesians, particularly those in remote and underserved regions. The promise to increase civil servant remuneration, including for teachers, healthcare workers, and the military, suggests that Prabowo recognizes the importance of investing in human capital and improving the efficiency of public services. However, this will need to be accompanied by reforms that improve the overall performance of the civil service, ensuring that higher salaries translate into better service delivery and outcomes for citizens. Friends and colleagues, President Jokowi's legacy is marked by his focus on infrastructure development, social welfare programs, and his pragmatic foreign policy. Under Jokowi, Indonesia saw a significant expansion of its infrastructure network, including toll roads, ports, and airports. Jokowi's Omnibus Law on job creation also represented an ambitious attempt to streamline Indonesia's complex regulatory framework and attract foreign investment. However, Jokowi's policies were not without controversy. His administration faced criticism for environmental degradation linked to infrastructure projects and the perception that the Omnibus Law favored business interests over labor rights. Additionally, despite Jokowi's efforts to reduce poverty and inequality, progress remained uneven, particularly in rural areas. Prabowo has publicly indicated that he would continue some, if not many, of Jokowi's projects, especially in the area of infrastructure development. However, a quick look at the state budget for 2025 may indicate otherwise. Despite that overall state budget increases 12% from 3,300 trillion rupiah to 3,700 trillion rupiah, the budget for infrastructure goes down 5.4%. This may indicate that although Prabowo might continue Jokowi's policies, but it would be with adjustments to address their shortcomings. For instance, Prabowo's emphasis on village development suggests that he will place greater focus on rural areas and ensuring that the benefits of infrastructure projects are more widely distributed. One of Prabowo's most significant policy shifts could be in the area of economic self-sufficiency. While Jokowi championed foreign investment and trade liberalization, Prabowo has historically favored a more protectionist approach. His vision of self-sufficiency in food, energy, and water suggests that his administration may seek to reduce Indonesia's dependence on global markets, focusing instead on domestic production. This could have significant implications for Indonesia's trade policy, potentially leading to a recalibration of Indonesia's relationships with its trading partners. Prabowo's foreign policy is expected to maintain elements of continuity with Jokowi's administration, particularly in areas such as ASEAN, regional cooperation, and trade diplomacy. However, Prabowo's military background and his emphasis on national sovereignty may lead to a stronger focus on defense and security partnerships, particularly with countries like China, Russia, and the United States. One area where Prabowo is expected to continue Jokowi's policies is the development of Nusantara, Indonesia's new capital city. Prabowo has expressed support for the project, which is seen as a key component of Indonesia's long-term development strategy. However, the success of the new capital will depend on effective governance and sustainable financing, areas where Prabowo will need to build upon Jokowi's efforts to ensure the project's viability. Friends and colleagues, governance under Prabowo is likely to focus on strengthening state institutions and improving state capacity. However, there are challenges inherent in this approach. Indonesia's bureaucracy has long been criticized for being slow and prone to corruption. And while Prabowo's emphasis on reform is promising, the real challenge will be in implementation. This is particularly given that Prabowo's inner circle, when in power, might be very likely to be involved in massive conflict of interest. Moreover, Prabowo's populist rhetoric, which often pits the people against the elites, could complicate efforts to build a more inclusive form of governance. While Prabowo has indicated his desire to maintain democratic principles and to some extent uphold human rights, there is concern that his leadership style could veer toward authoritarianism, particularly if faced with significant opposition. On the other hand, Prabowo's strong parliamentary backing and his alliance with political heavyweights Jokowi provide him with a solid political foundation from which to pursue his reforms. Although, with the recent political dynamics, particularly the 22nd August, which is emergency warning case, and Fufu Fafa saga, his relations with Jokowi and Gibran may be affected. Nevertheless, his ability to navigate Indonesia's complex political landscape will be crucial in determining whether his ambitious reforms can be realized. Another key area that will define Prabowo's presidency is the role of civil society and public participations in governance. While Prabowo has advocated for strong state institutions and a robust defense sector, he will need to find a balance between centralized authority and fostering inclusive governance. This will involve engaging civil society organizations, activists, and local communities in the policymaking process, especially on sensitive issues such as land rights, economic inequality, and environmental protection. One potential area of tension could arise from Prabowo's focus on industrialization and infrastructure development, which may conflict with environmental sustainability and indigenous land rights. In this regard, civil society will play a critical role in holding the government accountable, ensuring that economic progress does not come at the expense of marginalized communities or environmental degradation. Additionally, Prabowo's approach to press freedom and democratic institutions will be closely watched. While he has indicated a commitment to democratic principles, there is a concern among some observers that his administration could tilt towards authoritarian tendencies, particularly if faced with criticism or opposition. Maintaining an open, transparent dialogue with the public and media will be essential for ensuring that Prabowo's government remains accountable and responsive to the needs of all Indonesians. Friends and colleagues, Prabowo's success in securing a broad political coalition during the election campaign suggested that his cabinet appointments would reflect a mix of loyalists, technocrats, and political pragmatists. And now, we have seen how true this statement is. Prabowo evidently also likely seeks to distinguish his leadership by appointing figures who can drive his vision of reform, particularly in key ministries tasked to make sure his promises delivered, such as agriculture, defense, finance, and education, as we can see in this new cabinet. With clear evidence that he now expands his cabinet, Prabowo was actually expected to prioritize individuals with a strong track record in governance and economic management, particularly in areas such as food security, energy policy, and village development. Looking at those he already appointed, only time would tell whether he has chosen the right ones or otherwise. Also, given his focus on self-sufficiency and industrialization, Prabowo was also expected to appoint ministers with backgrounds in agriculture, manufacturing, and technology sectors that will be crucial to achieving his economic goals. Overall, Prabowo needs to navigate the complex dynamics of Indonesia's political landscape, ensuring that his cabinet appointments satisfy the demands of his coalition partners while also advancing his reform agenda. Striking the right balance between political loyalty and technical expertise will be key to ensuring the effectiveness of his administration. There were speculations that Prabowo would retain some of Jokowi's key ministers, particularly in areas where there was a broad agreement on policy direction such as infrastructure. And that speculation turned out to be true. However, Prabowo also brings in new faces, particularly from the business sector, as part of his effort to reform the economy and improve state capacity. Friends and colleagues, Prabowo's election as president represents a new chapter in Indonesia's political history. His Astacita vision, combined with his 17 priorities and quick wins, reflects a commitment to self-sufficiency, economic resilience, and social justice. However, the success of his administration will depend on his ability to navigate the complexities of Indonesian politics, build effective state institutions, and deliver on his promises of reform. While Prabowo's vision offers a compelling roadmap for Indonesia's future, it also presents significant challenges. Corruption, bureaucratic inefficiency, and economic inequality remain deeply entrenched. And addressing these issues will require more than just policy initiatives. It will demand a fundamental shift in the way Indonesia is governed. Ultimately, Prabowo's presidency will be judged on his ability to implement meaningful reforms, strengthen state institutions, and build a more inclusive economy. By balancing immediate quick wins with long-term structural changes, Prabowo has the potential to shape Indonesia's future in a way that ensures prosperity and stability. However, the road ahead is fraught with challenges, and success will require both political acumen and governance reform to ensure that Indonesia can continue its journey toward becoming a strong, self-reliant nation in the 21st century.